All right, guys, welcome back to the Bear Trap Podcast. This is John Kirby, and this is my second attempt at a more entertaining live trading video for which I brought Brad, otherwise known as at Brad or something, from GEXBOT. And yeah, this was yesterday actually. We just went over the close on the day, which is a whole lot of fun. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Bye. Well, I don't know. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Should we, is there any summing up to do? I guess, came down, touched 4,200, weren't able to break it, and then all those puts decayed and squeezed us right back up.
It'd be interesting for someone to listen to this twice, if you actually made it this far. Congratulations. Because now you're at the culmination of everything we talked about in the last hour, but go back and look at our analysis as we went when you already know the outcome.
And so today is Tuesday, the 30th of May, and we're just going to be watching the close, the last hour of the trading day. We have Bookmap on the right here and GEXBOT on the left, and we have no idea what's going to happen. But actually, let's get some context maybe. So here's the day for some context. What does this look like to you, Brad, or what have you been thinking?
I really wanted to talk about what's going on today. First of all, long-time listener, first-time interviewee. So looking at the day, it was a really interesting start. And the reason why is if you go back to let's go back to last night, because you kind of have to get the lead in to the lead in. I got to tell you this story to tell you that story. So when you look at the overnight, and I was kind of paying a little bit of attention to the overnight, like here and there, and we kept trying to break 22. And the way that each market opened during the overnight is everyone would buy because they know that things are good in America. And so the market would go up, and then the market would try to dive and break 22. And it kept going to 22 and failing. And 22 is approximately the top of the old TPOs.
I see that.
Yeah, so when I walked in to the market this morning, that was my assumption, is that, okay, we're going to move around a little bit, but we're really going to try to challenge what's going on at those old TPOs, because it looks like we're trying to build out a TPO into those, and we were failing real bad.
I think I have a volume profile on this chart so that we can see exactly what you're talking about, which is right around this 2022 level. Is that volume node that you're talking about, I think? Yeah.
And when we had trouble with that last night, so at the start of the market tried to go up. There was a strong impulse immediately, and we made it up maybe 4 points. And then that was roundly rejected. And everybody immediately started wanting to go down and test this 22 line. And if you watch what happened during the day, just looking at the movement of the market, we were pounding down to hit those lows. We let it rebound, and then we keep on pounding. And we just kept going until we got to 4,200. And 4,200, which has been resistance for a long time going up, suddenly became the strength. It was, hey, we made it. Everybody take a picture. Now let's get out of here.
Yeah. And I actually haven't been watching GEXBOT so far today, but I guess I'll get rid of this chart here and then look over and see what's happening now. It looks like, let's see, so major positive at 220, more or less, major negative at 41.85, and then zero gamma at 42.06, which is, I should look at the ES premium today. So SPX is 209, 218. Oh, it's 10 points. It's a 10-point premium. That makes sense. So whatever, to get to SPX, just subtract 10 points approximately from ES, which means that right now we're trading right around zero gamma anyway.
Yeah, and usually whenever you look at the difference between the two, I'll usually just kind of eyeball where we are in market right now versus where we are, for futures market, where we are versus where we are with the SPX. And if you eyeball that, I found that's usually a pretty good approximation.
Yeah, that should work. And so I guess that actually, oh, I totally forgot. We can use the historical replay feature to look at what the day was like. Wait, why is it only going back to 2 something p.m.?
Let me see what mine does.
Oh, it's because I think it's because I didn't hit load today. We'll see.
Yeah, because otherwise it'll just show it's been recording for the day.
Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, so let's look through this. We start at 9:30, major node at 4250 and 4200. Looks like we're over, like we have many more calls at play than puts, which actually fits in with the narrative that you were giving, where it's like at the open they just tried to rip it and completely failed because they were probably liquidating these. And then it looks like it's cool how those the 4200s down there. That was the only strike really that was growing on the
and that's
side.
interesting. That's something that I've heard people say in the past. Of course, the nebulous they, but I've heard people say in the past that if you open up the morning looking at GEXBOT, pay attention to where those large nodes of interest are, because we'll often try to go sample those.
Yeah, and we totally did. Actually, let me pull up SPX too, just so that I can make sure that we have the right. The downside with SPX is there's no volume on it or anything, obviously, so it's just kind of evil. But
well, I can forgive you, but everyone viewing at home totally cannot. So if anyone would like to say something in the comments about what John has done here, I totally understand what you're
doing. Well, in any case, this is today, and the low is 4192.18, so just under 8 points underneath that 4200 node. So we did come down and touch that, which was that. Yeah, so we have an 8-point premium, I guess, to ES. Okay, and then I guess advancing, that makes a lot of sense. And then these guys all had to get out, and then we move on. Say stop at any point in time if you see something that you want to address.
Well, something I want to address just kind of while you're going through this is something to think about is there was that paper recently that said that a lot of the positions until noon appear to be people selling option positions instead of actually opening them. And in that case, that means that if normal behavior is going on today, a lot of positions that we're going to see in this may actually be people just trying to burn theta.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense, right? Because they essentially take, I don't know what you would call this, but maybe like the edge of the expected move or significant points in the distribution and then sell around those. And it's a little safer to be selling, in a weird way, it's safer to be selling premium where everybody else is selling premium until it's not.
Until it's not, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's good to see going through the day. A good point for us to look at, and let me look at my charts here for a second. We hit that lowest low at about 206. It's really interesting to take a look at GEXBOT right at 206, just so if you're using this tool, you can see what the picture looked like right at the point where it was like, okay, we've bottomed out.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Let me get there. I'm really close here.
And so when you get there, I haven't looked at this in advance, but I'm betting that we're going to end up right near a volume node when that happens, because it's a great defensive line to try to push back from.
Yeah, it looks like at that point the 4200s were in the money. You have some 4195s that are in the money, but then the gamma at 4190 by volume was the greatest, and we were still above that. So it was like almost like that last node that we couldn't really quite break through.
Yeah, and when I look at the market, I often think about it in those terms. I'll think kind of along the lines of like, these are like trenches that people are going to keep running back to. Like if you're a buyer and everybody is selling right now, you're not going to be stupid and buy right now. You're going to go back to the next strike. You're going to say, okay, if you would sell it to me at 41.95, if I can get it at 41.90, that's a greater deal. So see those pullbacks to those lines. But when everybody's entering at that line, that's when you can start to see those reversals. And that's how I tend to think about these strikes. By the way, we're coming into the actual hour we were supposed to be talking about here. We got 2 minutes. So really quick, do you have any thoughts on what you've seen so far that we might end up seeing coming into the next hour?
I have to see. Let me check where we are live right now. That's a good question.
We're between nodes right now. We are between 4210 and 4205 on the SPX. We are just over the zero gamma.
It's almost hard to say, Brad, because it almost feels as if, right, we had this really natural progression, right? Like sell off, sell off, sell off. We get to 2 p.m. They bounce it right back into literally the center, the same point that you were talking about in the overnight session, and now we're just in mud essentially, right?
Well, saying that, take a look right now. You're watching live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So watch live. Notice how we're starting to cozy up to that 4210 node. And this is behavior that I've seen in the past, because if we're coming up on the hour, we're going to hit high liquidity. Often, if we're going to try to press in a direction, we're going to go to those areas of high liquidity. We're going to press right against the node, and we're going to hope that that large injection of interest is going to give us something. Oh,
yeah, so that's a big, I mean, part of that was the movement in spot, but the thing I wanted to mention as you were talking is that the 4200, if you look at the dots, they're adding to it more substantially than the upper strikes.
Mm-hmm.
So and you would assume, right, at this point in the day, in particular 3 p.m., we can tangentially assume, okay, those are probably buys down there. I mean, or a larger proportion of them are buys than would have been earlier in the day, off the open.
Strong negative push right there, right up against the previous close. And yes, it looks like we're trying to reject into this. And so as someone look at the market, so right now we are at previous close, we're trying to fight down with that strong down interest, and we're at zero gamma. So if I'm looking at a negative position right now, I'm looking at that 4205 node looks really weak, and we're probably going to pop down 5 points.
Yeah, I just took a small short out at 14, because 42, 14, 50 has been a significant level today for some reason that I don't understand, but I've just been seeing it pop up on the tape a lot.
Just for fun, I'm going to counter you with one long future. Having trouble, but no, this adds a little bit of interest to it, because we're having trouble breaking that previous clothesline, and we're having trouble breaking through the zero gamma. And if we manage that, I'll abandon my position. So I've already established what my position is, and I've established when I'm going to give it up. And it looks like I've got some interest here going forward, but we're going to see whether or not it breaks that second standard deviation, which is like 2 points up, 1.5 up.
Yeah, I'll give it to you that from a technical trading perspective, right? Like entering positions here in so close to the muck is probably not ideal. We would probably want to see either a tap of that like 4210 or the 4200 to actually initiate a higher RR.
And just looking for a small futures position where I have no theta. I'm currently sitting in SPX at 4206.5.
Yeah.
So in my thinking, I've got, going up, yes, keep going. I've got about 2.5, maybe 3 points before I get into the traffic at 4210. And there's a decent amount of interest there. So if I get up to that for a small, quick entry, that might be my closing. Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. And I would probably actually, I mean, if I were really, really committed to being short, I'd probably add there.
Ooh. Okay, so there's the denial of my second standard deviation.
I gotta say, I did not see that coming. That was. One of the things that we've been trying to kind of explain to people on the channel is that, like, and this is something that even I have a hard time understanding, is that, right, like, it's better to be surprised than it is to be expecting something. Like, if I put on a trade and it works, I'd rather be pleasantly surprised. Not that this has worked, because it still hasn't, but
yeah, you're in an option trade, aren't you?
No. I'm doing futures. I'm doing futures.
Oh, okay, good. I was gonna say, if you're in an option trade, I was gonna put a little hourglass here, and I'm gonna tell you that running.
No, I've been yeah, just for the like level to level stuff, I think the futures are a little easier.
5 points is good eating, and if you can catch it denying a strike and then trying to fight its way up to the next strike, I mean, that's a good 5 points.
That's true. Yeah. But it looks like we're still just kind of stuck in the muck here, which makes sense. So from like a more theoretical perspective, the way that I think about the scenario that we're currently in, and that there's a term in the Bear Trap Discord for this, and we call it being walled in. And it's because we have all this expiring gamma up there at 4220, and then all this expiring gamma at 4200, and the theta, as those positions burn away, the hedging obligations are going to burn away on both of those sides. But that's the problem, they're going to burn away on both sides, meaning that we're not, like, the options positioning itself is not actually giving us any substantial clues right now as to where we're going to go. If, however, the scale starts to tip, meaning that one of them starts to burn off faster than the other one, at that point we'll start to be able to construct, I think, like a better thesis, hopefully.
Yeah, and we're going to see, I mean, I wanted to talk to you in the last hour, especially when we get into like the last half hour and the last 15 minutes, because it's really interesting to watch on GEXBOT as you start to see that max gamma and min gamma start to coalesce on the position. And that's the point where we're either going to run the channel in between those two, or we're going to form a breakout. And it's a lot of interest. It's interesting to see how the market tries to position so that it can be against one of those edges at the points when liquidity comes in.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. I think trying to think about the best way to maybe rephrase what you said for people that might have not caught it, because it is a little finicky. Oh, there's a little bit of downside there.
Okay, now we've broken, just real quick, we've broken through the next line. So I'm at the point where, like, I'm going to accept this loss because we are not going to make it back up to previous close. We'll probably make it back to previous close and then bounce down. So now I'm like, okay, I'm going to accept a small loss here. I'm now looking at an exit.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because we should be tapping. Oh, we're under the next strike, under the 4205, which means that at this point the 4200 is acting like a pretty substantial magnet again, which should be, I think, 4210 ES. So my exit would tangentially would be 4210, I think.
Just tapped previous close. I'm out for a loss of a point.
Okay, that's not terrible. I just haven't done anything.
Well, no, but honestly, it's great to talk through a losing trade because I saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And now it was about what's my best way out of this position. And I mean, the position could go in my favor still, but reading what I saw, we rejected. We're going to come back to previous close. We were going to fight and fight down. It's the way the market looks to me. So I found the best possible exit, losing the least amount of money.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Where you're, yeah, that's something else that I was mentioning in kind of my other trading video, which is I know it's kind of terrible, but I kind of on purpose made it like 2 hours long, in which, like, for most of it nothing happens, because I don't like the idea of there being trading videos out there where people are just showing you like the action-packed moments, because like those are I understand it makes for better content, but it's a misrepresentation of what trading is like.
Yeah, that's really fair, because a lot of this is finding ways to amuse yourself and not enter bad trades.
Exactly.
I've come up with something new today. I'm actually, every time I want to enter a trade just because I want to do something, I'm going to do one thing of Duolingo.
That's actually a pretty good mechanism. Yeah, my solution lately has been to keep like coding stuff on another computer screen, and then I just have one computer dedicated to trading. So I'm just coding most of the day, and then whenever I get a little signal or something, then I'll click a button. But other than that, try to avoid it.
Yeah, I think that's why trading discords are so popular, is it gives you something to do other than enter a bad trade.
Yeah, and especially being on voice in the old like Investors Haven before we had the bear trap, people would be on voice all day while they were trading.
Yeah,
but
so
yeah,
just going back to the trades, I'm back where I would have been in profit, but I'm still happy that I exited based on my read at the time. And that's something I feel it's important for new traders, is to be happy accepting a loss even when you could have made profit, because you honored the read that you made at the time.
Yeah. No, that makes complete. Well, it's a focus on like process rather than outcomes.
Yeah, well, it's easy to get emotional. Like jump into a bad trade, then you jump into another bad trade, and now you're trading angry. Oh, it's like, I'm gonna do 5 lots right now. I'm gonna make up everything I lost in this one trade. Here we go. And then suddenly you realize there's no swelling of heroic music around you. There is no girlfriend off in the distance. It's just you doing angry. And it is not useful.
Well, this is why I need to drink wine constantly while I'm trading to like mellow myself out. It just makes me sleepy, so that I can't get angry.
That's the real alpha. Drink all day. If you learned anything from this trading podcast.
There we go. Yeah, I don't think my thesis has changed though, because now that like just looking at GEX here, 4206, we're just over that 05. It's looking still a little bit weak, and the strongest node to touch would be the 4200 again. So it's not that I know that it's going to happen, but it's kind of we're kind of have a lot of resistance on the upside there at like 217. The center of that volume profile. So it's just more likely than not that we just like slowly trend back down.
Yeah, let's look at some structure on the chart you have there on the right. Can you pull that into a 30-minute and then also put it into an hour so we can just see the grand structure?
Yeah, sure.
Traders are operating.
I can do like a couple. I can add a cell to it like that, and then get this guy up. There we go. And then what did you want? An hour?
Let's go ahead and look at the hour. Let's see how we're looking on the hour. Yeah, so we had that really big rise. And then so much volume on there.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Looks like we're continuing the downtrend. And if you mouse up to where that interest is about 4210-ish.
Oh, okay.
That older interest.
42.
Go back to the actual chart, or bring back more chart. Give me more chart.
More chart.
More cowbell. Okay. There you go. Perfect. So if you look at that little ledge over there at about 4210, if you're looking at the chart, yeah, perfect, right there.
Yeah.
That looks like an old spot of resistance that on the hour, there was interest in keeping it capped about there. And so I'm kind of curious whether or not that line's going to come back and play. And where does that put us? That puts us at about, where does that put us? I can't read your chart.
40. Oh yeah, so 4210 is, according to my read, that's actually 4200. That's what I was playing for, to the tap of 4210 with my futures trade.
Okay, so you're looking for a 4210 to come in here. That looks pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think it is. And like, but the problem is, right, if we move all the way back up to VWAP, then I'll be experiencing pain up to 420. 4220, which I really don't want to have to do. But if I cap my risk at, like, let's say the largest point in the volume profile on the 2000 tick chart, then I'm looking at, I don't know, 4218, which I can stomach.
Yeah.
So.
And then you've got that high interest up there at 4223 in futures, and you've got that low interest down there at 4210 in futures.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like we're re-challenging previous close right now. And I think we're going to break through, we're going to retap it, and then we're going to go for your 4210. That's what I think we're going to do.
I think that's a very reasonable call. In fact, I mean, I'm not much of a chartist, but it's a reasonable call. Let me see if where on earth do I have, because I have Bookmap on here too. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So we can just watch it happen live on Bookmap. There we go. Oh, wow. Look at that. I'm up a point.
I just joined in. I just missed that burst. I just got in the middle of it. But yeah, no, I agree with you that we're going to pop up. And if someone's watching this and they're like, okay, how do they see this? How does this make sense to them? A lot of this just comes from watching the market and seeing how it naturally flows. And you can see that there is a basis behind what we're saying. And I feel that watching the market and paying attention to it helps us understand these things. And then looking at the technical information informs what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I mean, for those of you who aren't familiar with Bookmap, right? The price is this 42.11 right now. So we are falling. We want to tap 42.10. At that point, I actually had my exit. So
I have a 10.25 limit. I'm gonna lead you a little bit.
Let's see if I limit. Yeah, let me put this order in here.
I am front running you.
I put myself there too. Although technically you are in the front, so long as you're queued up before me. However the hell that.
Now I'm moving up to 50. I'm gonna front run you again.
Oh God.
This is how the market really works on the scale of millions of dollars. Like, oh, you're gonna be there, huh? Well, I'm gonna be right there.
You know what I'm thinking of doing? Actually, I'm thinking about reversing here.
Really? You think that tap of 11 satisfies it?
Look at this. Look at this on Bookmap. Look at the red over here on 42.10. Somebody's waiting there.
Oh yeah, no, someone is waiting there, and someone's waiting below them at 9 as well. You know what? Why don't we pull out that old GEXBOT tool that we got there? That might be able to tell us something. So looking at GEXBOT, we're stuck right in the middle of 42.05, but we just tried to exceed it, and it's going to act as a cushion, hopefully.
Yes.
We'll be able to ride down that next 5 points.
Wait, maybe I was wrong with my estimate, because if we're at 42.03, oh no, I was right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna get long here actually. I think.
You're gonna get long, even though somebody just blew up that 11.75 position.
No, now I won't. I saw that. I was like, that's what I was. Because somebody tried to do what I wanted to do, right there, and they failed.
Here we go. Come to Papa. You know, this is where I'm going to look at my exit, because it looks like we tapped, and I think we're going to try to retap, even if we don't make it right now. But if we don't make it right now and we retap, I think we're going to give up, and that we'll come back again.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, because the liquidity is still down there, you mean? Yeah,
there's still interest in liquidity, and we're still trapped in that range on GEXBOT. Where if you look at it, I mean, we've come back up, but we're still trapped here at 42.05 with all of that open interest that we've got to plow through. And if we go down those 4 points, then, you know, we've gotten a chance to test the liquidity down there.
Don't you occasionally find, though, that, like, maybe not in this scenario, but sometimes I see with Bookmap when we're, like, trending in a, okay, maybe I'll shut up for a sec because it seems like we're going to actually hit it.
No, don't say what you're thinking, because wrong theses are as important as right theses. I bet I just exited. No, I didn't hit. Come on.
Yeah, they still haven't hit me either. They still haven't hit me.
Go to your home. Why are you too good for your home?
They're being so annoying here.
Okay, I'm out. I'm just gonna leave quietly the way I came. Even though I gave up like 2 ticks, I'm okay. So anyway, it's important to have even a wrong thesis, because if you can say something out loud and then you can say, okay, I was wrong, the next step is, why was I wrong? And that's learning and getting better at the market.
Yeah, no, I had more a global. I also reversed there, so I have a half a point on the upside here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It just made sense because, like, and I'm gonna take this off like immediately, but immediately-ish.
I don't know. You got some big people blowing in. There you go. Okay, now I think about exiting.
Exactly. Yep, I got out.
Nice.
Anyway, what do I want to say? Oh yeah, sometimes. So you see how we had that like liquidity come in on Bookmap down there, and then and we didn't quite hit the level.
Mhm.
I almost feel as if sometimes when the liquidity comes in, other people take that as a signal that they're able to step in prior to them, right? And then the liquidity gets front run. And so you never quite, oftentimes I feel like you don't quite get the move all the way to the level. It's always, a few ticks short, unless it's like a lot of liquidity, and then eventually we do get down there.
That's a really good point. And that is something that can be an issue, but I find that even for some reason, we always have to go back and check that interest just to make sure. And we know we have that 4,200 interest in SPX. And so just putting it in terms of points, we have all that interest. It's 5 points down right now. And it's also where our maximum GEX line is, our major positive line is. So it's really going to want to go down there and just grind. And I feel that might be something we have coming up here in 11 minutes. And we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm basically looking for an opportunity to get short, but it's just not quite coming yet. But I mean, I also wanted to say, in a sense, right, even though we said, okay, well, there's not a lot of information in terms of absolute direction that GEXBOT is giving us right now because of the walled-in structure, that's actually still quite positive information, because it means that we're scalping right now, right? We're not playing for big trends because we know that there are no big trends in the atmosphere currently.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you pull back and look at the whole day, we were up, and then we've done a continuous path down. And that suggests to me that we're going to have a down ending. Mm-hmm. And I really think that we're going to try for that 4,200 interest. So I think we're going to try to take another 5 points. But I mean, the thing about the market, the thing that makes it so interesting, the thing that makes me keep coming back to the table is that's my thesis right now. But strong positive interest could make me wrong quickly. And so you always have to be testing your thesis as you're going through this.
Yeah, that was a very nice rejection actually up there.
Yeah.
I was just looking as you were talking, I was looking to see if more interest would come in up here as we're moving up. And it just a little bit did, but it wasn't substantial.
Well, take a look over at GEXBOT. We just rejected zero gamma again.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
I don't really play zero gamma. I know a lot of people will play the zero gamma line as a line of resistance. I don't really do it that often, but I do have to comment it seems to be working right now.
Yeah, I got a fill right there at 42.14.25, which is that same level I was talking about before that I've been watching all day. Fill short. See if we can finally get an actual tap of 4,200, because it's like the longer it procrastinates, eventually.
Well, it's just going to dribble right now because everyone's waiting for 9 minutes from now.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's something that not a lot of people talk about enough in the market, I think, is that there are time-related events, and it's the fact that at the hour, you don't know what direction all of the interest is coming in, but interest is coming in on the hour. And then at the end of the day, it just comes in on the hour, on the half hour, and then on the quarter hour.
Yeah. I guess in some sense it also makes sense, right? Like from an options trading perspective. I mean, this is something that I would do. Like if I have conviction about direction, I'm going to wait until the minute before the hour to enter my options position, because I know that the highest odds of having a significant move are right at the hour.
Yeah, and I've noticed that sometimes people who are going to go in the opposite direction, they're going to hold their powder and keep their powder dry before everything goes off. So they're going to let it go up a little bit and then they'll slam down, or let it go down a little bit and slam up.
100%. Yeah, it's so funny. Sometimes I actually have more confidence entering a position when it's gone against me a little bit first, or gone against where I would have entered, so to speak, because I'll see it's like, oh, they're squeezing one side in order to then reverse. And a lot of times that'll happen around the hour. And so you just get a really nice, clean entry when you can catch that initial, like let's say you're trying to go long and the market moves down on the hour, and then at like 4 or 5 minutes after the hour, 3:05 p.m. or something like that, then it'll reverse.
Yeah, it's an interesting place on your position right now. We've rejected zero gamma again, but now you're butted up hard against 4205 and you don't have a lot of liquid entry going on right now because we're still waiting those 7 minutes until the half hour.
Yeah, this is true.
And you're right on previous close. So you got a little bit of a fight here. So don't worry, I'm still cheering for you. I'm not in a position right now myself, but I'm still cheering for. I think that we're gonna bounce around here, and I think we're gonna make a decision in a couple minutes.
Yeah. This is the point at which I wish I'd taken it off right there, because this is just like this is a silly position to be in right now. There's no real point to it.
Well, let's talk about that. I actually had some bad trades this morning, and something interesting to talk about is trading to be trading. And I find that sometimes I will be trading just because I want to be in a position, and that is the worst thing that I can possibly do in the world. And do you ever find yourself with the same problem?
Oh yeah, I'd say that is my most sort of significant problem in trading, because that's the problem that leads to all the other problems in a way, right? Because like, let's say that if I'm trading and my goal is very clear and it's not entertainment, then it's way easier for me to be disciplined about my entries, my exits, my position sizing, all that stuff. Whereas if I'm just trading to trade, that's where I get into a position where all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I didn't really mean to be there. How do I compensate for that? And then
you enter another position to back up that position.
Yes, exactly. And then that starts a whole how would I put it? A whole
it's a cascade.
Yeah, cascade of evils.
I love it when I'm standing there looking at 5 lots going, okay, I just want to break even.
Yes, exactly. But also, I mean, right, from like a gambling psychology perspective, right, that's actually the position that we want to be in, right? That's the most rewarding, most dopaminergic position, is that one. Is losing, which most people don't realize. It's that we actually like losing more than we like winning, which is part of the problem.
Well, I would agree with you that we get more of a rush whenever we're losing, but I don't like it.
Okay. The word "like" may have been a bit of a, an bit too much of a statement. Speaking of which, in realization of this, I'm just going to close my position right here.
You know what? We've both closed 2 positions at small losses during this. And if you've got new traders that are in here, I hope they're like, okay, cool. I feel I can do that too. And if you have experienced traders that are here, they're probably tipping their wine glasses at us.
Yeah, or laughing at me.
No, I mean, knowing when to get out of a bad position. I remember when I first started trading, and the first lesson that people would try to teach you is preserve your equity. You have a pool of money that you can trade, and you need to be defensive about that money. And I thought, well, that's stupid because I know what I'm doing. Everyone else is stupid, and I'm going to get in this trade and I'm going to 5x my money. And it took a lot of hard lessons for me to eventually be the guy telling the new traders, conserve your money.
Well, it's the most boring and annoying thing to have to do. And the other thing is, it's one of the things that I dealt with and I'm still dealing with is that when you're losing all the time, it's easy to think about preserving your money because you're like, oh, okay, I lost yesterday, I'm going to lose today. I have to make sure I have a limit on that. The problem is more so when you're winning, because when you start to win consistently, then you start to feel as if, and I mean, this has been documented in countless trading books, but it's always worthwhile reminding. But when you start to win consistently, it's very hard to imagine losing, especially we're talking about, not just, okay, I won 2 out of, 2 days this week on the 2 days that I traded or something like that. But you're showing up every single day, and every single day you're winning. And then it starts to become hard to imagine what it would be like to lose. And so then your risk tolerance, or not your risk tolerance, but your risk appetite increases substantially without you noticing it.
Yeah, something I really appreciate in Discord when people are talking, it's like, I've made my target, I'm out. You guys have a great day.
Yeah. Okay, so this landscape has changed a little bit. I'm seeing some of these. It seems kind of bullish to me, actually.
The 42.17 interest is there to try to knock it down, and it looks like buying is right up against that. However, I'm still holding on to my 4,200 thesis. And what I'm looking to see, a way that I want to see some sort of confirmation of that, is in the next 2 minutes, because I figure the move is going to happen at the half hour. I want to see the interest get up to 17 early, because there's a line at 42.17 of high interest. I want to see it get there and break, or get just over it and get knocked down to kill enthusiasm to the interest coming into the downside.
I think that's probably a good way to actually frame this, because now that I'm thinking about it, right, I don't really have to enter, if I'm bullish here, I don't really have to enter a long here. I can wait until we break above 210, and then I should have, my long should be able to carry me up to 42.20. Whereas if 42.10 rejects, then the 4,200 thesis would seem like the most likely possibility.
Yeah, so here's a hit and reject, and I'm going to go ahead and enter a short here, because we hit that interest early. We got there earlier than we wanted to, and now we're going to start a down run, and we're going to start down running just as we get into the half hour.
My only concern is just that it looks to me like there's actually the landscape's changing a little bit.
Okay, here's a nice little block at 15. Try to keep it from getting too early, but okay, here's where I want to see interest. Oh, I got some up interest fighting. I got some down interest fighting. Let's see what happens.
Because this is really the inflection point. If they break 210, we can go all the way up to 220 here. And if not, then it's slow meandering back down to 200. I still haven't made a decision. I'll probably enter something, but I'm not sure what it is yet.
Yeah, I'm watching really carefully. I'm ready to close my position in an instant right now. And I want to see this updrive get rejected hard right here. Looks like we have a positive drive. It looks like my sellers are losing, and they know they're losing.
It's just turned into 3:30, so 53 seconds, so almost 3:31.
Yeah, and there's been a really good battle here on the bid.
Yeah, I'm long.
I'm out. I'm out and long. That's what I'm doing here.
Yes. Because I just saw that interest come in at 215 down there too. And then at the same time, we're just curling. We're doing exactly what you talked about earlier, which is when we're like cozying up to a level, you know?
And I saw that, and that's why I wanted that rejection. I was hoping to see a good rejection of that level and knock us back down off of it, so that it would show, hey, okay, there's selling interest here, and people who want to enter on the short term should be entering and sell.
Yeah. Now if we can hold above, I want to remind everybody, 18, which is exactly where we are, is that level which is the center of the volume distribution. So I don't know where on earth I put that chart, but okay. Well, I don't know. That's probably down here somewhere. Oh yeah, here we go. See, 18 right here. That's exactly where we are. VWAP is at 42.20, so that's actually a pretty reasonable first exit if you want to. But yeah,
Took the whole point. And are we rejecting here? No, we should see some. We're just seeing a rejection of the anchored VWAP right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see. Look, there's a lot of interest that just came in down here, so I wouldn't be surprised to see continuation up here to around 20 at least. 949. We just want to make sure that they can hold this. Do you use these what are this? I guess this is depth of book over here, current order book. I don't like, is this supposed to be like, it should be a volume profile, but it never really looks like a volume profile to me.
The book is much more useful if you're trading in the overnight, because the movement is so slow. You can see where people are adding, and you can see where people are just slowly chipping away.
Okay.
I'd say that's more of a tool if you're going to stay up until like 3 in the morning your time, which I hope you're not.
No.
That's when I use it. Hey, we're chewing through some down interest. We both may be wrong here unless it holds here.
Yeah. I have my stop right at that level that I love at 14.25, so I'm not too concerned until there. But I mean, even the GEXBOT picture, it would be nice to see us holding about 42.10 on SPX. But if we do, then we should be. It's like the risk reward here is pretty good.
Yeah, we're not necessarily going to break 42.10 right now. We'll have to break that at the quarter hour. It's more likely that we're going to have, unless we have a really large player decide they're going to enter and they're going to choose direction for us.
That's actually a good point. I feel like when we were talking before about trading being a lot of waiting, because of the sort of the structure of volume, how it comes in, like you were saying, on the hour, I almost feel as if a lot of times what will happen is I'll try to get into a position, want it to happen on the hour or on the half hour or something like that. It doesn't, and so then I think to myself, I'm like, okay, man, now I have to wait another half hour at least in order to try and play the same damn thing. I think it's working.
Second attempt. We might get a second attempt here. Not the best time for a second attempt because we've got lots of interest that's already built up here, and we're going up against a wall of options hedging.
Sometimes though, I feel like they do this. They just kind of like inch it. They just inch it up.
Well, that's the nebulous they. A better way that I might describe it is hedging requirements put us in this area, and it might be that people are hoping others are going to close option positions that will boost it over the line.
Yes, that's also a good way of putting it. Or I mean, you could also, it's not even, I mean, it is also the hoping of closing positions, but even without that, the structure of, right, because of, and I covered this, I think, also in the GEXBOT video, right, because the structure of the gamma curve, it's like a bell curve. As you're getting the closer that you get incrementally, the more the hedging requirements increase. So it almost funnels you into precisely that strike. It's more so once we actually hit it that we need to see more, how would I put it, more interest for continuation.
Yeah, and essentially what we need is we need more people on the bid.
Mm-hmm.
And because even if you have people still bidding, there's still every share they buy, there's 2 or 3 more that need to be hedged.
I think it might be worthwhile. I think this is a failure.
Yeah. Got there too early.
Mm-hmm. I feel kind of bad. I saw the failure materializing as you were speaking, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, no, definitely interrupt me whenever I'm losing money.
It was just like there's that level. It was the what was it right here? It was 42.17. That just, yeah. Anyway, there should be some continuation to the downside here, I think. Unless I'll be wrong 3 times.
It's trying to fight over at the second standard deviation, but it's just trying to fight up to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something interesting, people who trade the market, people will use terms, and we use these terms all the time, and we just act like it's normal. We're going to look at the standard deviation. We're going to look at the risk on line. We're going to look at the VWAP. We're going to look at the anchored VWAP. And the question may come to you, what are these lines and what do they mean? And the best way I can describe it is, how in religion everybody believes something, so it's true? And as long as somebody who's backed by 20 or 30 million dollars on their position believes that line is important, it's important.
Yeah, well, I think it's sort of, there's like a, sorry, I'm just also thinking
you did
about,
not reverse, because I'm just sitting here just kind of happy.
Yeah. 17, it's 338. Does this make sense? No, I'm thinking of shorting here actually.
It's not a bad idea to short. You could be in, they could be running a small channel, or at least the interest could be running in a small channel where they just keep, notching down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, if you look at sort of the, let me bring this other guy back up.
Okay, it is no longer a small channel.
Yeah, it's not a bad little possibility here. No, what I wanted to say is that I think a lot of these indicators or lines, they start off as actually being relevant in some way. So like there's usually a good thesis that starts them off, but then they get perpetuated by just people thinking that they're important.
Yeah.
Also kind of like religion, I guess.
Well, this is not a natural system. And that's something really important for all of us to remember, like all the quantitative work we do and all the calculations and all this is what it did last times. This is not a natural system. This is not gravity. And if enough people want to buy, you can drop that anvil and it will float up into the sky.
That reminds me of a very particular ticker that is up 2.73% today and trading at 400 right now, which nobody thought was possible.
Oh, is Nvidia back up again?
Yeah.
At least we have an N to replace Netflix and Fang.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't be. Netflix was up 4%. It'll get back up there too. It'll just because we need some stocks to replace all the ones that are dying right now, right? So Netflix can help do some of the work. Okay, great. Yay, short thesis.
Okay, there you go. Starting to see your position starting to actualize a little bit there.
Yeah, and this is something I also talked about in my other trading video, which which is kind of also kind of long, but it's that a lot of times on days like these, we're just like waiting for us to hit edges, right? So we hit 42.10. Okay, now I'm playing it back down to 42.05, then maybe to 4200, and then back up again, and then just if you have to trade, then that's kind of what you have to do in this type of situation. Although you probably shouldn't be trading in this type of situation.
Well, the best thing to do is to be trading the actual lines that you believe the interest is going to hit at. And then when you get more comfortable, more experienced, and more, you have a larger pool you can trade from, then you can say, I'm pretty sure it's going to get to that line. Why don't I trade in that direction until it gets there? And that's how you can expand your trading at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so it's 341 right now, and it looks like a lot of this interest in these calls up here has been fading on GEXBOT, and it looks like the 4200 is growing. So I do feel pretty bearish again, oddly enough.
Yeah, notice that the major positive of volume is starting to coalesce and push down, but the major negative has never stepped off of 4200.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. So you can see basically that tells us in a sort of more quantitative way that the calls have been melting away.
Yeah.
I should probably say positive gamma instead of calls. It's just that there's some assumptions to the model which then shape the terminology, which then shapes the way I talk about it.
Well, the upper positions look like they're going away.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and so that means that we should be able to see a good down push here, and hopefully we'll see a good push deck to about. I'd love us to go touch 4200 again, but I don't know if it'll happen.
I think too many people may think that that's what we're gonna do.
Well, as long as those people are entering in the negative position, that's what we're gonna do.
That's also true. All right, let me bring back. Every time a position starts to go against me a little bit, my brain slows down. There's a lot of volume that just came through on the SPY, by the way. Pretty big candle.
Really? An upwards candle?
Yeah, it was actually. It was a wick, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Just that like we're at somewhat of a transition point in my mind. Like I don't when I see a big influx of volume, I don't really see it as a directional in any way. Like I don't because the issue is right, like it's completely arbitrary in the sense that like if you see a green candle or a red candle, and I don't usually have green or red candles, I just have white candles, but if you see something like that, then the time at which the candle was concluded is going to inform whether it's green or it's red. So you don't actually know what the distribution of volume was over the course of the, of the creation of the candle, which is why candles are kind of sometimes not so great, and Bookmap is better for that.
All right, so going back down, looks like we're going to challenge that 42.13 interest that's holding down there.
Yeah.
And looking at too many little things all over the screen. Looking at GEXBOT, we're in between strikes. We have the ability to go try to punch that if we want to.
Mm-hmm. I was also going down here to look at the max change, and it's actually shifting. I think it's shifting really quickly because we're so close to the close, and so but most of them are the call strikes over here. The 1 minute max change is on the 4200, I think, because we were just a little lower and then we popped right back up. But gamma at this point is super sensitive to where spot price is, so you're going to see some wacky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we got a very exciting day, Brad, and like a very boring close, probably.
Well, probably, but you have to think that the down interest may be hoping to push through the major volume node at 4200 and then get really, really low.
Well, I'd love that.
I don't think it'll do that, but I think that could be attempted.
Yeah, 4210 there is kind of growing like crazy. All right. Let me actually pull up these guys. So on that, yeah, we're literally in the same place that we've been this whole time.
Yeah, but at least we've made it interesting with some color commentary.
It's like it's so hard. That's why it's so hard to schedule these things, right? It's like you have no idea. 4220. Oh, 4200 just completely melted away there.
Yeah, I just heard that little chime you heard in the background was a warning that there was an impulse up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna see if I can get a long entry here somewhere, but just in theory. All right, I got one. Just a tiny one.
We really need to bump over this interest here at 18 though.
There you go. That's a good impulse. I like it sometimes when price moves up like that and then you can just see it accelerating like as part of the move.
Yeah. We're still sticking here at VWAP though. We need more for continuation. We're not seeing the huge buyers come in right now to support this.
If I had to guess at this stage, I'd say we just close at 4210. Yeah, that makes sense to me actually.
Well, there's always a possibility that something happens in Congress about the debt ceiling. That could
what right at market close.
Well, they're supposed to start taking it up at the start of our conversation.
Oh, well, that's fun. Man, it's such a like. Is that also a similar notification?
Yeah, that's a down impulse.
Okay. Well, I saw that. This is actually a good time to enter long. Or I mean, not necessarily a good time, but a good little. It's like compressing into the top of the range, hit the bottom of the channel. From a bookmap perspective, no idea. From a GEXBOT perspective, yes. It's kind of funny that they use any excuse to create an argument about stuff and like just add more with the debt ceiling. I mean, they just like add
never let
more.
a good crisis go to waste, you know?
Exactly. That's the right way to put it. Yeah. Well, it's a manufactured crisis, right? Because it's entirely unnecessary.
Yeah.
So not only is it never let a good crisis go to waste, it's also make sure to manufacture as many crises as possible so that you can hop on them.
So what are we looking at here in GEXBOT? Let's take a look here. So at the end of the day, the shaping of the major volume, the major positive and the major negative start to form these big brackets around price. And so we get kind of trapped in on price unless we get major position closes. Like, ooh, we just saw a major close at 41.95.
Yeah, let me rescale this. The scale goes crazy. There we go.
Yeah, 41.95 just like changed rapidly.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Like price didn't really move, but suddenly a whole bunch of interest just went boop.
Well, and the 4210 is the only strike that's been growing really, really consistently. That's why I was thinking why I took that long earlier. But then again, it's only 2 points away, right? So there's not really a lot there.
All right, so here's a big fight. Let's see what they do. The 10-minute mark is a really big fight for some reason. I have no idea why the 10-minute mark is like the point where everybody decides they're going to go into it. But this is where a lot of liquidity drops into the market and a lot of actual interest starts moving.
I'm seeing it come in here. What are we looking at? I wish that the volume bars actually had some.
Yeah, I'm betting that the push is actually options based, like people closing in the last 10 minutes, but I don't have any evidence to show that. It's just that the market is so options driven nowadays that it just feels like some event must be occurring in the last 10 minutes where either a lot of sudden option positions appear or a lot of sudden option positions disappear.
Well, the main options driver at this particular stage is going to be 420 on SPY, which is actually it's down a point from where we are.
Yeah, so trying to push through right now, see if we can continue going.
If you're going to get that 4200 tap, that would be funny. Right at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, it's entirely possible.
I don't think so, though. I think this pumps, actually. I think we get we pump all the way back up to 4210. Why do I think that? I'm trying to figure out why I think that.
By the way, I've noticed that we're both saying prices, like giving strikes. We need to specify whether we're in futures or whether or not we're in SPX.
Oh, yeah, that was all SPX. Yeah, this is like a perpetual problem.
Yeah, I know, because you were saying looking at 4200, I was like, what are you talking about? 4200? I don't think I'm going to hit that. I might get 4200. Oh, wait, no, we're talking about the same thing in different interests. Okay.
Yeah, I think we pump back up to 4210 SPX.
We're currently bouncing off previous close. That's where the current fight is. And we've got, oh, there's a nice push through.
Oh, dear.
And we've got interest showing up in futures at 42.12. We've got that 42.10 interest that's been sitting there waiting to catch it. And as a futures person, I'm watching this, I'm paying attention, but at the same time, I'm looking at that SPX information and I'm seeing where I am relative to the strikes. Because if I've just cleared the hurdle, because right now we're at 42.05, we're just clearing the 42.05 hurdle. We're just getting down to 42.04. And that gives me 4 more points of running room as I start pushing into that next strike. As I go into the next strike, my gamma these are going to be less and less. So that interest down is going to gain more acceleration.
Yeah, it actually should here, which is very problematic for any long right now because 4205 just went in the money, and you have a massive amount of volume at the 4200.
Yeah, so here we go. Just like I said, we're shooting down. I'm paying attention to that SPX. We're now going to get right up against the edge, and those 4209 people in futures are exactly where they need to be. And I know they're all longs, and the reason I know that is looking at GEXBOT. We're about to hit the 4200 interest, which is also where the major negative volume is built up. So this is a massive hill that the market is going to try to climb. And so if I'm a smart trader, I'm going to be parking my long positions right there. So anyone who tries to strike that is going to just have to keep gobbling up all of these long positions and all of these long and all of these positive options. And it's going to have to keep eating them until they give up, and then we're going to rebound.
Yeah, 100%. I front ran them just a little bit.
You know what? I guess I should, saying all of that, I should put my money where my mouth is. Livermore said, you speak in the market with your money by entering a position. So I just entered a position long as well, and now I've got a half point to show for it. You've probably got a full point.
Yeah.
But here's that strike that I was talking about. So here's that strike of 09. And I'm pretty comfortable, even though I'm down a half point, because I know what they have to chew through. And I know people are going to reload as they try to get through this position.
Yeah, it's 0950. Okay, they just tapped through it for a second there. Helped right back up. Massive amount of volume coming through here, actually.
And you saw that attempt to stop it on the way up. It was just worthless.
Yeah, brilliant. Actually, this is we're getting that move here.
Now, we may not get all the way up on this because you've got to remember, we've just cleared a little bit of GEX, and we might make it up a total of like 5 points, but they're going to try again. They're definitely going to hit this again and try to make sure that they got the interest. So I'm looking for a close exit here. I'm looking to exit about a point and a half, 2 points out.
I'm kind of on the other side of that because I think if we hold above here, then the 4200s expiring should give us a pretty decent amount of juice.
The thing is, though, is you got all these people pressing a second strike of 4200 may be our death knell. If they hit it hard twice, they might break through.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But I think we could see a substantial squeeze if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and honestly, when we talk about how we see a W in the market, that's exactly what I'm describing as a hard hit of a hard line. Mm-hmm. And oh no, we're not getting through that. So it goes back up, tries again, and that second failure says you're not getting through. The market shoots up. Everyone tries to give up on the sell at that position. That's what we see whenever we see those W's at the bottom of the market.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
I'll do a lot of game theory whenever I look at the market. So they are still just whacking away at it.
So much suspense, yeah. But I think it's curling upward, although I do see all that interest up there at 14, which is kind of 1425. Again, the same level that I kept on fixating on. I think they have it.
We've tried.
There we go.
Okay, are you guys done? You want any more? We've got some more. You guys good? I know that this is a faceless game, but it is fun to taunt your faceless trader on the other side of your position.
Well, it is because there are even if they're robots or whatever, they're all gaming each other.
Yeah, and
so there we go.
So here we go against the position. So the people who are trying the down position, they've given up off of this, and now we're going up to about, I'd say maybe 13, because we're going to get to the next bracket for that GEX.
Yep, 100%. So that's where I'm looking to exit. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, right, like our entries were probably not as good as the entry of whatever trader was sitting down there at 4209 0.5 because they had the benefit of being there first.
But they were in the right place, and that kind of shows you front running versus actually sticking it at the line. If you stay at the line, you may miss out on a lot of trades, but if you front run, you miss out on a couple points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everyone's noticed I'm not a patient person, so I'm the guy who enters like a tick ahead.
No, I do the same thing, and it's terrible. It definitely loses me so much money doing that.
Okay. Come on, little more. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Good.
All right.
Good trade. Good boy.
Yeah, I'm getting it at 42.13. I got one left. Waiting for see if I can get 14 on it. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Beautiful.
We're going to try to eat up more here as it goes. And if anyone's playing along with me at home, yeah, I gave up a couple points. I often exit conservatively because I want to keep the money rather than take the risk.
I did take off. I had 4 there. I took off 2 for I think 2 for 2.5 points, and then the other 2 for 3 points.
Nice. Now, end of the day, you can see looking at GEXBOT, we're kind of trapped in that channel. We're trapped right up against 42.05. It's going to be difficult for us to make any headway in either direction. We're just kind of trying to push around. At the best, we might make it up 2 more points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're also above. Oh, there we go. That would have been interesting. Ooh.
There's the bell.
I like how it came through like my computer, and then it came through from your computer. So I actually heard 2 bells, but yeah.
The opposite. I don't hear no bell. I hear 2 bells.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Should we? Is there any summing up to do? I guess came down, touched 4,200, weren't able to break it, and then all those puts decayed and squeezed us right back up.
It'd be interesting for someone to listen to this twice. If you actually made it this far, congratulations. Because now you're at the culmination of everything we talked about in the last hour, but go back and look at our analysis as we went when you already know the outcome. So, I mean, you can listen through and you'll hear us 30 minutes ago talking about, actually 45 minutes ago, talking about, hey, it looks like it's going to try to get to that 4,200 interest. And you got to see all of that happen in action. And that comes from repetition and watching everything over and over again.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And it's also hard. I mean, that's one of the tricks of kind of thinking through trading is kind of similar to, I guess, like thinking through a football game or something like that, where you have to kind of think to yourself, well, with everything that I knew at the time, did I make the right decision? And it's hard sometimes to project yourself back into that circumstance. But what's nice about recording this live is that, it's done for us automatically.
Oh, man. I've been like, I'll test indicators for people and they go, look at the past. It looks wonderful. It's like, yeah, but if you were there live, you would realize that was not a good signal.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, Brad. The color commentary was excellent, as usual, although, we haven't recorded it as much in the past. But yeah, this was awesome. Thank you so much.
It was a lot of fun to be here with you. If people enjoyed it, say something and I'll come back and I'll do it again. I know I'm just shilling for comments, but honestly, let me know that y'all enjoyed me being here. And if you enjoyed me making comments on the market, I'll try to come back some other time.
Yeah, I'd love to have you back on. It'd be really cool. Anyhow, yeah, I guess we'll wrap up there. And everybody, trade safe, don't do stupid things, and subscribe. Yeah.
Like and subscribe and hit that bell or something.